fellow travelers, and welcome to another episode of Vertical Stars Podcast 4th season. My loyal listeners, thank you for continued support. This is an amazing episode because the creators from Background Noise Comics board the mothership to discuss their graphic novel, Love Letters Every Day, on Kickstarter. Now, come on board as we go traversing the stars. Hi, Lisa and John. Thank you for coming for the Traversing Stars podcast.
Thanks
Hey,
for having us.
Totally my
yes.
pleasure. Totally my pleasure. I'm looking forward to seeing Love Letters Every Day come out. I already backed the book once, so I want to thank you guys so much.
Oh,
Thank
thank
you for
you.
backing us.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
No problem. So I always thought of a question of inspiration. So what inspired your love for the arts and who your earliest influences?
Ooh, love for the arts. Earliest influences.
Mm.
Um, so not comics, just arts in general.
If you want to focus on comics, that's perfect, or the arts in general, that's perfect as well. Whatever inspired you to make this book happen.
I mean, if you're going to talk about inspired by the arts, I mean, I would say like Dr. Seuss,
Mm.
because way back when I would read those books again and again and again and again and again. So, I mean, I know that they're not really comics, and we've never really talked about this before
Mm.
in any of our interviews, but if you really want to talk about what really inspired me to want to be part of some kind of a sequential art experience, I would say it's
Mm.
those amazing picture books that my mother read to me when I was a baby.
Huh. That's interesting because uh like when we've been asked on other podcasts um about like beginnings of like interesting comics. um I started with newspaper comics, but I kind of like didn't think back that far. But there were like some picture books that really stuck with me as a kid. There's the one about the firefly.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
and he like writes words
Yep,
in the
yep, yep, yep,
sky,
yep,
like
yep,
the
yep, yep,
art
yep,
from
yep,
that,
yep.
like it was really beautiful. It's like the firefly and the owl or something like
Yeah, I
that.
love that book
I
too.
can't remember who
Yeah.
who did that one, but that was one of my favorite books just because of the art and the concept of like the glowing stuff, at night. And but also Dr. Seuss. I had a lot of them when I was a kid, and I've recollected them as an adult because I love Dr. Seuss so much. Um, and that was definitely a very early artistic inspiration. So
Yeah.
yeah, and we have one comic on our Instagram that is us as Dr. Seuss characters.
Characters.
Yeah,
Yeah. I think it was an
Cool.
anti-book banning
yeah, it
comic,
was an anti-book banning
which
comic
seemed
that we
very
made,
appropriate,
like last year, I think.
That's awesome. So, because you brought it up, the big question everyone's gonna be watching is now gonna be wondering, which is your Dr. Seuss book? Do we have a favorite?
I mean, I really loved Are You My Mother, which is not like a
That's not Dr.
that's
Seuss.
isn't it the same
No,
character?
it's published by the same person,
It always
but
I
it's
always
P.D. Eastman.
Oh, I always thought it was the same person. So if that
Yeah, it
one
looks like it
doesn't,
because it has the
it's the
Dr. Seuss
same. Yeah, yeah,
imprint
yeah.
on it, but it's not at all. Yeah, it's not. It doesn't have the same look or anything,
What
but it
about
does.
what about the one about the spots? Is that Dr. Seuss?
Spots. Oh, you mean the Sneetches on the beaches?
No, I'm not thinking
That's the
of that.
stars.
Yeah.
The spots. I don't know.
Then I guess Green Eggs and Ham.
Green Eggs and Ham. That is a classic. See, my last. It's been a long time since I read Dr. Seuss. I guess it's obvious. I don't know if a lot of people our age are still reading Dr. Seuss regularly. Maybe if you have kids. But the places you go, obviously, because that's the high
I
school
love that.
standby that everyone
Mhm.
gets. And but you gotta say the classic. Mr. Cat in the Hat is always always the classic one. Everyone, I think Dr. Seuss is one of those books that even as an adult, you still like you just don't remember necessarily what happened in the book. You still remember what it felt like reading a Dr. Seuss book.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. I think mine was I can't remember the title of it. It's like the thing I saw on Mulberry Street
Oh
or something
yeah.
like that.
I think that I saw it on Mulberry Street.
Yeah, and also the one about the circus.
Oh, I love that one.
Yeah, because they just had
Yeah,
like
yeah.
like in Mad Magazine, which is something I have mentioned on a lot of things, a lot of times when asked about early influences. How Mad Magazine, Sergio Aragones would like make those teeny tiny little pictures all around the margins,
Mm.
like he'd draw little tiny comics in the margins of the other comics. Like those Dr. Seuss books, they would have like so much going on the
Yeah,
page, and
yeah,
you could just like, spend hours just like looking at all the little things, different things that, different people and creatures were doing. So,
yeah,
yeah.
I think the thing that I think is very important with Dr. Seuss is that just reading it brings joy, right?
Yeah.
So
yeah.
Yeah.
I think, and the reason I'm saying that because once again we're making a bridge to Love Letters Every Day, which is another group of comic books as I've read that bring joy when you read them, right? They're not, it's not like these dark, dreary, like Nietzsche kind of existential, dreading, horrible things. They're a lot of them are feel good to read. They're funny. They're about a couple in a relationship. So kind of tell me how you thought about it in terms of giving joy to your readers.
Well, I mean, when we first started working, making them, we were always trying to get a laugh. So that was the main idea was, how can we make each other laugh? How can we make other people laugh?
Mhm.
What's funny that happened? Like, how can you look at what's going on in your life in a funny way? And then we did start to dive into things that were maybe not so funny.
Mhm.
Um, or whether it was political or emotional, and but there still was always there still is always levity in how we approach it and how we kind of wrap it up. Wouldn't you
Mhm.
say?
Yeah, yeah. Like there's a the making of this book and like doing the Kickstarter and everything, it's been great, but it's also, there's pressure and it's a lot of work and stuff, and there has been some tension sometimes. And like in our comics, we'll like address things like that directly, there was an early comic where we made a joke out of the fact that Lisa art directs me and that I don't react to it well a lot. So there's this comic where she's criticizing something, and I I like leave my laptop next to her. I get up off the couch and I leave my laptop and it's burning. I've set my laptop on fire, you know, and she's like, "Where are you going?" And I'm like, "I'm going into the kitchen to eat all the food." And um so yeah, it's like primarily, of course, in the end, it starts with a laugh and it should end with a laugh. But we touch on things, and I'm going to push back on Dr. Seuss too. He clearly, his drawings and his characters and everything were very joyful, and that's the primary thing, is that it's about it's about fun, but he had like the Lorax, who's like protecting the trees, and the Sneetches on the Beaches, which is about intolerance and getting along with people who are different than you, and so like Dr. Seuss, not to compare us to one of the greats, we always want to entertain and leave somebody with a laugh, but we also want to,
Talk
think
about,
about things and
yeah.
talk about things too.
So going with the idea of with Dr. Seuss and the idea of going, I guess he's gonna be the theme for the interview. So going with Dr. Seuss and the idea of the lessons put in, what lessons then are in within Love Letters Every Day that people are drawing out from, and are they something that is embedded in it or is it explicit as
Yeah.
well?
No, it definitely is. I mean, the reason that the book is called Love Letters Every Day is because we were making comics and we were focusing on content and punchlines and drawing and artistry, and what we started to hear from our readers and our friends was, oh my God, every comic is like a love letter that John's drawing to you. Every comic is like a love letter that you're sending to each other. Like every day it's like you can see how much you love each other. And John and I are like in the back room like "Arr," but the bottom line is that if you can laugh about it at the end, then you're golden. So, like, those are the two things that we really wanted to make clear with this book. And, when we did share some of these comics on Instagram, people really related to them and they were able to overcome some of their problems by kind of living vicariously through ours. And that was very amazing for us. And so, you know, we want to make sure we want to share that ability to kind of like find the joy in your life, find the joy in your problems, like put it in perspective, make it into a joke, laugh about it. Because, in the end of the day, like we have each other and that's what we have. And like if you want to focus on the negative, then you're going to be unhappy. And if you want to laugh about it, you're going to get to the next level and hopefully be happy.
Yeah, and it's also comforting to like see other people are, going through the same thing that you are.
Oh, as someone who's married, yes, I would say. I mean, I think the reality is marriage is hard. Let's just you can just put that out there. I think that's a safe thing to make a generality about. Marriage is a hard thing. Someone who's married. But because it is a hard thing, I can't imagine working that closely with my spouse. I kind of feel like because usually like you assume most of us do have a buffer between going to work and being at home. Most of us have a buffer just from space. How has it been either therapeutic or let's say had it altered dynamics to be working together on this book and having that every single day with each other? Because you were posting every comic every single day for a while.
We
Are you
were.
still doing a comic every
At
single
the
day?
beginning,
Okay.
Yeah, we
yeah,
were
yeah, the
every
first
every the
year,
first
yeah,
year every year. And
which is what this book is
we
about.
still try to do 2 or 3 comics a week. I mean,
Hmm.
it's been a little slow because we've been doing a lot of stuff for the book, but we're gonna post one tonight for sure. I
Tomorrow
mean,
morning.
tomorrow morning. Um, but
That is an exclusive for the show. New book coming out, new comic coming
yeah,
out
there you go.
tomorrow.
Um, well, for us, we some the book also has some essays, and some of the essays talk about how we actually grew not just as artists but also in our romantic relationship, because there were some fights that we've had that, and if you're married, everybody has like that same fight over and over again. There are things that we learned about each other by doing a comic that we were never able to say to each other. But then when we had to sit down and like do the comic where I had to write John's words, I had to like put myself into his voice and kind of imagine what he was thinking. And then I would run it by him, but I never thought about it in that way. And he had to draw my feelings. And so we had to overcome that kind of like he's wrong and I'm mad at him, to like get really into each other's heads. And it really changed things. It really helped us grow. And I'm not saying we're like perfect. We still have fights. I think we had a fight this morning, but there's still a lot. We have a different kind of fight now.
Now, this one's for John. Putting you on the spot, okay?
Mhm.
Because I think what Lisa said was very interesting, so I'm putting John on the spot. Hopefully, this doesn't cause a fight later, but whatever. It's good for the show, no. Um, so Lisa said she's writing your words, right? She thinks you're thinking, right?
Right.
Now, she ever written words from your thought? You know what? That actually sounds much better than what I actually was thinking.
Uh, she sometimes she'll write something and I'm like, I wouldn't say that, and I'll change it or I'll push back. Sometimes she'll write something that I don't like right away, but I'll trust it, and then I'll just like do it because, I not only draw it, but I do the lettering and everything. And I'll be like, I don't really like this, but I'll just like try to make it work. And then when I, actually see it done, I'm like, oh, actually, this is great. I like this. Yeah, yeah, and to add to what Lisa said, it's not just like sometimes writing what the other person might say or whatever, but you also you also sometimes write uh like what it is you're like feeling bad about yourself or something or you're also writing about yourself and you have to like try to be honest and authentic publicly. And so you don't want to like, be fake and, be like, write your side of the argument as, I'm right. And, I was perfect in this situation and the other person was just wrong. You have to like seriously think to yourself, and kind of deal with it authentically. Otherwise, people are going to pick it up that you're
That,
just being a jerk.
that's
Oh,
funny.
that's a good comic.
Yeah.
That's why at least it was just like, I am so, as John, I am so wrong about this. I can't believe how wrong I was to my
Yeah,
poor
that's
wife.
funny.
That's funny. So when you're thinking of, so this comic book lives every day, how many, I mean, when you're thinking about this book, how many pages are we talking? Is this like a comic book? Is this a graphic novel? What are we looking at here?
I mean, we're calling it a graphic novel and comic strips, so
Oh.
it's not a comic book. It's an actual book. It's over 200 comics plus several essays and anecdotes. It's somewhere around 200 pages. It's a book.
So
Yeah.
okay, so we're not talking just like a regular like floppy thing. This is like getting
No,
up, right? This is
Oh,
like on a
yeah.
shelf.
Yeah.
All right. So like I say, when they buy your book, they have a bookshelf. Got your, like I said, you got your Shakespeare, you got your old classic, best works of Edgar Allan Poe, and apparently Dr. Seuss. Love Letters
mhm.
Every Day, same shelf.
Right next to the Dr. Seuss.
Right next to the Dr. Seuss.
I'm
That's
I'm good with that being
Yeah.
a recurring theme
Yeah.
and
I think that's cool. And are these only going to be the books from that 2018 year, or like what can we expect that we're seeing in this comic?
Well, they're a lot of the comics are based on the comics that we originally published in 2018, but there are quite a few that are new and exclusive. And even the ones that we published in 2018 on Facebook and Instagram, they're not really available anymore. So we're kind of bringing them out of the archives and we're kind of remastering them where we're cleaning up the art a little bit, we're cleaning up the dialogue a little bit, giving a little bit more air. Sometimes things were a little cramped.
mm,
So they're definitely kind of a
remastered.
remaster.
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. So for those of us who do know your Instagram, because you like I say, you have a lot of followers, um, we are going to be seeing something new, basically.
Definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's fantastic. When you were going back and looking at these things from a remaster standpoint, you said you're also taking these comic books and also giving them a little more air, things of that nature. Were there like recurring themes you started noticing of stuff that you kind of found yourself that you kept going back to back then? Because not only, I mean, this isn't for those of us who don't know, this is not 2018 anymore.
No.
I don't know if someone's watching this like, oh shit. But if you just found out now, sorry, it's not 2018. So you're going back about 7 years and looking at these older comic books. Are you noticing like, hey, I didn't realize we spoke this so much, we had this subject or that subject, or we really kind of had a lot of humor came from this kind of thing or that kind of thing, going back looking at it.
Well, there's a lot of cultural references that if we feel they're kind of too dated, we're gonna kind of leave some things out. There's some things that are like evergreen, which is more the relationship stuff. It's the better stuff anyway. And there's some things that are too much of that time. There are certain things that have come back, certain things we were like going through back then that have, come back in society that
Politically?
that will leave back in there because they're relevant all over again.
Yeah.
Um, but
Yeah,
and
there's
there's what
well,
did you want
okay.
to? Well, there's
Uh,
themes that
yeah.
we are going to want to reinforce because there are like recurring themes that we might like look at and be like, we kind of want to like I want to tell a little more about like kind of the creation of it, which we didn't talk about so much when we were creating it. Things like that I want to talk about in the comic form, that we've been talking about so much, you know, promoting it.
But there are definite themes. I mean, there's themes of parenthood,
Yeah.
there's themes of relationship, there's themes of grief and loss.
Hmm.
One of the characters is death. One of the characters is my dead mother.
Hmm.
One of the very first comics I ever wrote it has never been published yet. It was about walking in a graveyard with my father. Um, it's there are some like kind of more two-bit gaggy that sort of things that we were kind of exploring when we were just trying to just make laughs, but there is a lot of heavier stuff that we really dive into.
Yeah.
You know, is it at all troublesome to anyone else that you could actually use of that time when it's only 2018? Sorry, when you said that, like I just aged like 20 years. When you said of that time, I was like, that doesn't feel like that long ago, but I guess it is.
Yeah, it's not. And I mean, most of the stuff is pretty universal because, when you're talking about emotions, it's kind of like Dr. Seuss. It doesn't get old
Yeah.
because it's about something that's very fundamental about how people feel about themselves and the world. So the comics are they stood the test of time. The beauty of it is that we have 7 or 8 years of comic creation under our belts, so we are able to go back in and just make and polish them up and make them even better. So even the ones that maybe were not quite working, we're able to go back in and just like give them that shine.
Yeah. But there was like, we were also trying to be very topical, about whatever was happening. It's like the advantage of like doing a daily comic. So there's like some that are like, I remember there was one about a new app that came out, and I kind of think we could maybe rewrite that so that we don't actually mention what the app is, because it's still like a feeling. There was this new app that everybody was talking about, and I don't remember what it was, but like Lisa's telling me about this new app, and I'm like, we have enough apps. We don't need more apps. And then she's like, oh, it's invitation only. You actually
Mhm.
can't get it. And now I'm like, oh, well, now I must have it. So that feeling is, universal, but the actual specific app, I think I might like edit the comic to just take out the name of it so
Yeah,
it's not so specific about that thing.
that reminds me a little bit
Yeah.
of remember Blue Sky before it was
Yep, yep,
open-ended and then you had to get the passcode. I remember
Yeah.
yep,
when I first got my
yep,
passcode, I was like, oh shit, I got my passcode. It's just
Yeah,
yep,
see, it
yep.
was like that kind of thing, but it was I remember it was some app that isn't even around anymore.
Yeah,
It was
yeah,
like a thing that was going to happen, and then all of a sudden it wasn't
yeah,
happening.
yeah.
And we make a lot of cultural references, which I really like, but some of them were just like, some of them are just like shows that are just like so long gone
Mhm.
that I would take them out.
I think another
Uh,
cool character in the comic book I just like is the cat.
Mhm.
The cat is just cool. I don't know what's something about the cat that you got over there. I just like the damn cat.
yeah,
And
yeah,
eventually you're going to make a plushie cat, probably. But
yeah.
so tell me
Yeah.
about the cat too.
The cats have actually in the comic you could kind of see an evolution of the cat. You could kind of see the coming up of Danny Cat because the first cat that in the comic is actually a gray cat named Buddy, who is sadly not around anymore. So the cat's kind of evolved over time, and I love like when there's one comic where Danny comes in where I don't know, it's something about like hiring an intern or something, and
Mhm.
Danny just comes in like in like a little office shirt and a little button-up shirt, and he's like, "What's up?" And so yeah, the cats, are like a kind of a constant. They're like one of the kind of like fun, slightly less realistic aspects of the comic that is just in there to kind of like be our id and be like the outsider
Mhm.
who, is like the outsider's view of us.
I think that's awesome. And so, like I said, you have this big following on Instagram. So, what has the reaction been like to knowing that this book is coming out with these exclusive comic books? You're going to get these X number of graphic novel pages, which is awesome. So, let's dive into that just a little bit.
I mean, we're getting a lot of positive feedback. People are excited. I mean, we were I think we were like halfway funded in our first like few days, and we've already reached our first goal. So, it's been an amazing turnout, and people are, really loving the new variant cover that we just released yesterday.
Mm.
We already
Oh,
are
we should
starting
we should have
to
made that the backdrop.
we already started
Yeah.
to people are starting to pick it up as a reward. So no, it's exciting.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole point of this Kickstarter was to share this book with the world. It's really important to us, and we're so excited that we're able to do it.
And I mean, congratulations on hitting your goal. You know, it's not easy. Let's just throw it out there. The Kickstarter is not for the faint of heart.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
I'm sure there will be an ulcer one day named Kickstarter that is
Yeah.
collectively felt by many people who have done it. But you already hit your goal, and you have my last time I checked of it for at the point of this interview, you've 8 days left, correct?
Correct.
So 8 days left. You already hit your goal. So for those of us out there who are struggling on our Kickstarters, you have now been officially a success. So share your knowledge. Like, what was the key to being successful?
I mean, I think the key to being successful is asking for help.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we had a lot of the pieces and to put together, and we knew we were very clear about what we wanted to do. But you know, whenever you present something, it's always good to have somebody to mirror back whether or not it's being interpreted the way that you want it to be. So, we had some friends who were like super backers who looked at our overall um, campaign before we launched. Just asking the people in the Kickstarter community, and just people gave us a lot of great advice. We wish that we had asked sooner. We were very worried and didn't ask quite as maybe as soon as we could have, and but still, it's all's well that ends well. But I would say ask for help, show stuff early, let people know early, and know what you want to do, but listen, keep your ears open.
Hmm.
So for this campaign, that once again successful, congratulations. Honestly, the big thing everyone talks about is rewards. So where rewards are available, is there stretch goals coming? What are we talking about here?
Well, we have some stretch goals announced. Well, we have the variant cover, which we brought out. So that's now available. You can either get the graphic novel as with the variant cover, or you can bundle it for a discount and get both covers. We also have some free. We have some coloring pages that are
Good Mother's Day
Mother's
gift.
Day themed coloring
Yeah.
pages, since we're going to launch sometime near Mother's Day. We have some postcards as goals as well, including kind of a postcard of the very first comic that we ever did. And that's kind of where we are. So we have a $4,000 stretch goal, and then a $5,000 stretch goal. And so we'll see if we start to get up to those numbers, we'll add some more.
Yeah.
I
Maybe
think
maybe that plushie, that Danny
Uh,
Cat
I'm just
plushie.
saying. Eventually, I feel like that's going to be the thing. Like when this is all over, the major the question will be where was the damn Danny Cat plushie?
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
there's always, the next Kickstarter.
Are,
But yeah,
are we
I would
already
love a Danny Cat plushie.
are we already thinking for Love Letters Every Day too, or are we going to call it Love Letters Every 2 days? I mean, we got a second book coming after this. Are we thinking?
We have some other background noise comic books that are in the works. They're going to be more thematic based on either like one book we want to do about travel comics. It's kind of I don't even want to say the title because John doesn't even know it yet.
What?
Um,
Oh, we do we have an
What?
exclusive possibility on the show? A big
uh,
exclusive reveal?
so um
I
and
think we need to have a
yeah,
discussion.
I think we have to have a discussion first.
Although, she picked the title of this book and I love it. So, I have a lot of faith in Lisa, but,
And we definitely want to do a book that focuses on mental health issues
yeah,
because we have different things that we struggle with and people really relate to that and we
yeah.
want to be able to share those kind of insights. And then there's another book that we're working on. It's more of a graphic memoir from my perspective. It's really about watching my father die.
Mhm.
It's called First Breath, Last Breath, and we've been building that book out. It's kind of based on some of the comics that we have published on Instagram, but I was when my father was dying, I was very prolific and I was writing all the time for some weird reason. And so there was just no way that we could.
Yeah, she was writing them faster than I'd be able to
Yeah.
draw them.
And
So,
and my family was my siblings were also not comfortable with me
mm.
talking about it at that time, so it needed a little bit of a distance. So it's kind of an homage to my father and my mother, I guess. It's a little bit of her death in there too.
So for those who are listening, the important thing would be it's on Kickstarter right now. At least on the date of this recording. There's 8 days left. It ends officially when?
March 16th in the middle of the night,
Mhm.
So
which,
for your late night alcoholics,
Well,
it's
yeah.
a chance to make an impulse purchase.
it's only the middle of the night for New York.
Uh,
It's on Pacific time.
Pacific.
yeah. Pacific time, yeah, it's more of a midnight thing.
So,
Yeah, right?
so
What?
Yeah.
it looks
Yeah.
like the
Yeah.
15th on Pacific on the West Coast will be on the 15th, right? At
No, it'd be the 16th on Pacific time, like midnight on the 16th in Pacific time, because that's 3 o'clock in the morning for us, right? Or am I backwards? I always
I
get
don't
the
know.
time
Pacific,
zone.
it's 3 hours in the past. So if you're
Oh,
3 o'clock on the 16th
it's
and it's 11 o'clock on the 15th on the West Coast.
I don't know.
Right. So I think
I'm
if
not good with
it's
numbers.
16th here,
He's worse. Don't even
yeah, I'm
ask. Don't
worse.
even start.
Well, for doing a lot of these shows for the West Coast is 3 hours behind. So if this is on 2 a.m. on the 16th and it's 11 o'clock p.m. on the 15th on the West Coast.
Yeah, but it's like
Right.
3 o'clock on. It's
3 a.m. here.
so
It'll be
it's
midnight
midnight.
there.
Yeah, I
Okay,
got
so midnight the 16th,
Yes.
right on the money.
it. So
Yes.
LA people, don't worry, you're fine. Come on, LA people at midnight. Although LA people are asleep by midnight because they have better sleep hygiene.
I mean, is this also available internationally? Do we have some people? Is it available to everyone?
It's the print version is only available in Canada and the EU. But the digital version is available internationally.
So that could be, who knows what that time shift is now. Maybe look
Yes.
around the world.
Yeah, it doesn't make us do more math.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's fantastic. So you're watching the show. We'll put the Kickstarter link will be in the show notes. So please go find it. John and Lisa, it's been an absolute pleasure to talk with you both. And levelers every day. Let's get that to Stretch Growth 5,000. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you.
All
Thank you
right.
so
Thank
much for
you.
having us,
No problem.
everybody.